This is a picture of an eye. Now, when I first saw the eye, by the way, it looked really cool. And then I read the caption. I'm like, that's kind of creepy. But it's not offensive, so I'm going to let it go up there. All right, good job. Let's go with our lesson 6-8. Let's try that again. (6-8), and I'm going to dim the lights. Well, actually, Alex, do you mind dimming them? So you're going to push that down arrow, and I'll tell you when to stop. Stop. Thank you very much. All right, 6-8, we're talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. Sorry, I assume people knew this symbol right here. This is not a plus sign, it's an and sign. A plus sign would be more like that. And I'll try to make that clear. It's an and. Just so you don't have to write the word and if you don't want. We're talking about two things today, parallel and perpendicular lines. And we're going to start off by actually graphing, just so we get practice with that. What I want you to do is you're going to have one part. So I'm trying to get this. One side is going to be parallel, and the other side is going to be perpendicular.
Now we have water bottle here.
What did it look like?
Oh, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right. I want you to draw a coordinate plane, and I want you to go 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. And I don't want you to make it small. Don't make them like little tick marks to try to squeeze everything in. It's a bad idea on this graph. You want to make it a little bit spaced out so you have room, because you're going to fit two lines on this one graph. Okay, who knows what it means to be parallel? Parallel to one another. What does that mean? So think two lines. Okay, two lines going in the same direction, and then something special about that.
They will never meet.
They'll never meet. They'll never meet. They'll never collide. They'll always go infinitely in either direction for a line, and they will never cross one another's path. Okay, so we're going to start off with parallel, and I'm going to see if you guys remember how to graph. So I want you to start by drawing a point on 1, -1. Put a point on 1, -1. So 1, -1 should be right here. That's your first point. And I want you to create a line by simply using this next piece of info. The slope is 3. The slope is 3. That's all I'm going to give you. I'll give you some more because some of you give me those blank looks. 3 can be written as 3 over 1, positive 3 over 1, and that's your rise over your run. So starting at this point, if my slope is 3, where do I go from here? Up 1, 2, 3, over 1 to the right. So that's where I get a second point. Or I could have gone down 1, 2, 3, and over 1 to the left. How do I know if I should go right or left? What was my slope? Positive, which means what does it do as it goes left to right? It goes positive. All right, connect those dots. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be pretty straight. That's your first line. And the equation of this line in slope-intercept form is going to be y equals 3x minus 4. That's the equation of that line. How many of you remember slope-intercept form? You kind of remember it like y equals mx plus b. Does anyone know what the m is in this equation? The m, Josiah? 3. What's the b? Anyone on the other side of the room? Y-intercept, which in this case would have been -4. And you're like, is that really true? Where does it hit the y-axis? At -4. What's the rise over the run? The rise over the run, it's 3 over 1. So those two parts fit that line. All right, the second line I want you to draw has a point on -1, -1. So this is another line on the same graph. -1, -1. So starting here, I'll go -1, -1. All right, and the only piece of info I'm going to give to you is it has a slope of 3. has a slope of 3, or 3 over 1. So from there you go somewhere, and I hope you go the right direction because it matters. All right, who can tell me how to get to my next point? So I got my -1, -1. Brad?
3.
1, 2, 3 over 1. Or I could have gone where, Sam? I don't want to go that way. I want to go to the left. But how can I do that? 1, 2, 3. 1 to the left. All right, connect those dots. And I want you to write the equation y equals 3x plus 2. That's the second line's equation. What form is this written in? Slope-intercept. What's my slope? What is my slope, excuse me? 3. What's my y-intercept?
2.
And do you see that's true of the line? Okay, these lines are parallel. Now, some of you may look more parallel or less parallel than mine, but I think from what I'm seeing, they're pretty much never going to intercept. What do you guys notice from the equation that tells me that they're parallel? There's something about the equation, this equation, that equation, they're parallel. Same exact slope. So parallel lines, you need to get this down because you're going to see this in different ways. Parallel lines have the same slope. And I'm going to put here m in parentheses. They have the same slope. What's the slope of the first line we drew? 3. What's the slope of the second line we drew? 3. They have the same slope, but what is different between the two? They have different y-intercepts. Good, they have different y-intercepts. If you can remember those pieces of info, you can do this whole lesson with the parallel side. Parallel lines have the same slope with different y-intercepts. Good, that's all you need to know for parallel lines. Okay, let's do perpendicular on the other side. Does anyone know what perpendicular means? Does it mean two lines that are perpendicular? Maybe you could show it to me, or who can describe it for me? What do you think?
Two lines that cross each other.
Okay, they are two lines that cross each other, but in a special way. Because like these two lines cross each other, these two lines, those two lines. So there's an infinite ways you can cross, but they have to cross in a special way. Josiah? At a 90-degree angle. So they can go like this, they can go like that, but it has to be a 90-degree angle. So go ahead and draw me another coordinate plane. We'll go, let's do 4x4 again. Space it out. If you're like, my first two lines were really squished together, you need more space on the second two. Or you drew them too big on the first time, now you can do a little bit smaller on the second. And while you guys are drawing your little coordinate plane, I want to encourage you with something that it encourages, I hope you, but it kind of encourages me too. Do you remember when we first talked about slope-intercept form, that a lot of you maybe struggled with that concept? You're like, what's M? What is he talking about B? And he really means y-intercept. You struggle with it because I could tell by your faces, by your looks, when I asked you a question, you're like, no idea. The homework, maybe you didn't do so well. How many of you can look at this equation and tell me it's slope-intercept or not? Okay? How many of you can identify the slope just by looking at it? How many of you can identify the y-intercept just by looking at it? Okay, you've already gotten better just by practicing a little bit with that form, and now we hopefully get it down a little bit more firmly. Okay, the first line on the perpendicular side has a point on 0, -1. 0, -1. So put a point there. 0, -1, which goes for me right here. Okay, and then this slope is going to be 2, positive 2. So go ahead and give me some more points. Give me 2 more points. Positive 2. Ooh, positive? Does that mean it goes up, left to right? But let's see if you guys can get it.
Wait, what was it?
0, -1. So right there, and then the slope is 2. Okay, Hagen, where do I go from this point to get my next point? 1, 2.
Over 1.
Or I can go to the left. Okay, so I got my line right there. And that slope-intercept form is y equals 2x minus 1. It's y equals 2x minus 1. Y equals 2x minus 1. Who can tell me why it's negative 1 right here? Anyone? Why is it negative 1? Yes, sir?
That's where the line passes the y.
Yep, the y-axis right here across that negative 1. Who can tell me why there's a 2 right there? Because that is the slope. It goes up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Okay, the second line on that second graph, we'll go with 0, 2 is the first point. 0, 2. 0, 2. 0, 2. So your first point should be right there. And the slope of this line is going to be negative 1/2. Our first negative. Negative 1/2. So the rise over the run is negative 1 over 2. Now, if it's negative, what does it have to do from left to right? Has to go down. Okay, so you got that at least as a hint. Who can tell me where to get another point here for negative 1/2? Henry, how do I go from this point to get a slope of negative 1/2?
If you go up 1.5, or
What you're saying is possibly true, but let's make it maybe a little bit more straightforward. Your rise is negative 1 and your run is 2. So you can go
up 1.
You can technically go up 1.
And then over 2.
Which way?
Up to the right.
If you went to the right, you'd get this kind of line, right? You'd get.
Sorry.
That's okay. And then how do you know that can't be it? Your slope was negative. So let's try it again. Okay, so you go, what do you think? Down 1 over 2 to the right. Is that going to make it go negative? And the answer to that is yes. Or I can go up 1 over 2 to the left, because that's going to let it go. It's going to let it become negative, or stay negative, I should say. That's tough, guys, that negative 1/2. You guys understand what I did there? I went down 1 over 2. Or I can go up 1 over 2 to the left. So the equation of this line is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. All right. These lines didn't turn out as well as my last class, but what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to cross, but what type of angle do they form? A right angle. They're a little bit smaller right here. About a right angle. How many of you got pretty much a right angle? Like you're looking at, it's pretty. Okay, mine isn't perfect. My last one was better. Actually, here's my last one. Look at that. That's how it should have looked. But you know what threw me off? So here's the good one. I'll tell you, that threw me off. Actually, that's throwing me off right now. Okay, what threw me off was that my spacing from here to here, that tick mark should have been right there. It would have made a little bit more of a right angle. So my spacing was off. You know what I'm going to do for you? I'm not going to make you form all those little tick marks. What do you think I'm going to do for you? I'm going to give you graph paper. So you can just use those little markings and hopefully get some good graphs. What do you know about perpendicular lines and their equations? There's something about their equations that you didn't even have to graph these. You didn't have to graph these to tell me they were perpendicular. Look at their slopes. Okay, yes, sir? Okay, good. Something to do with reciprocal. What's the slope of this line? Negative 1/2. What's the slope of that line? Positive 2. Okay, look at 1 over 2. What's the reciprocal of 1 over 2? 2 over 1. Isn't that what it is, 2 over 1? But there's something else that's extra. What sign did that have? Negative. What sign does that have? So they are what we call slopes. I'll put here. Slopes are, and here's your key word, negative reciprocals. Oh, I'm not going to fit that in. I'm going to squeeze it in a little bit neater. Let's try this one more time. So you guys can spell it right. All right. Negative, I'm going to abbreviate that, and then reciprocal. They're negative reciprocals. And that's the hardest concept of this lesson, what a negative reciprocal is. So, Jack, can you give me a fraction? Just any fraction, not too complicated. Okay, 2 over 4. All right, 2 over 4. 2's up top, 4's on the bottom, right? What's the reciprocal of 2 over 4, technically? 4 over 2. What is the negative reciprocal of 2 over 4? It's negative 4 over 2, which becomes negative 2. All right, give me a whole number, Drew. Whole number. It's a positive whole number. 1. Other than 1. 1's too easy, unfortunately. Thank you. All right, thank you. Yes, third time's the charm there. All right, 5 can be written 5 over 1. You guys okay with that? What's the reciprocal of 5 over 1? 1 over 5. But what's the negative reciprocal of 5 over 1? Negative 1/5. Okay? That's what we're talking about with perpendicular slopes. They are negative reciprocals. Okay? So you got to get that down. All right, let's go ahead and do a problem that you will have to do in just a bit. Okay, this is on top of page 171, and it's example number 1. And who could read for me the instructions for example number 1, because you need to understand what they're asking for in order to give them the correct answer. Go ahead.
Are the graphs of
Oh, sorry. Example number 1 at the very top. Write the
equation of a line with a y-intercept of negative 2 that is parallel to the line. This equation is y equals negative 5x.
Okay. They gave me y equals negative 5x plus 3. And then they gave me a y-intercept of negative 2. And what were they asking me for in this problem? Do you guys see the question? They gave me an equation, they gave me a y-intercept, and they want me to write in, you could look at it, the third word, write in equation. Mr. A, they gave me an equation. This must be the answer. You think that's the answer? You think it's in the problem just right there? No, it is not. You had to come up with another equation, and there's a key word that is parallel to the first one. And that has a y-intercept of negative 2. So watch what we're going to do. What do you know about parallel lines? They automatically have the same slope, exact same slope. So these problems I want slope-intercept form. Who can give me what slope-intercept form is? Y equals mx plus b. That's the general form. And yes, this is written in slope-intercept, so you're good. But I want to come up with another equation that's in this format. I just got to fill in the m and the b. What's the m going to be automatically if they're parallel? It has to be the same. It's negative 5. You get that from that first slope. So I got y equals negative 5x plus b. Now all I need to get is b. How do I find b? Well, did they give me what b was?
Negative 2.
Yep, it's negative 2. Y equals negative 5x minus 2. Done. How did I get the negative 5? Someone help me out. How to get negative 5 in my answer? Yes, sir? Why is it the same slope? Because the lines were parallel. So they gave me an equation. I have to come up with another one that had the same slope. How to get the negative 2, Sam? I randomly picked it out. They gave me a y-intercept. So here we go. All right. Are these two equations parallel lines? Because they have the same slope. But they have different y-intercepts. So do you see how this cannot be parallel to itself? Because it'd be the same exact line. And the same exact line is not, like if I had the same line stacked on each other, it wouldn't make it a parallel. It'd just be the same line. So it'd be redundant. Let's do another one here. Look at the very bottom of page 171. And who could read me those instructions where it says try these? It says are the So William, you got to read the first one. Anyone else? Just read it real quick. Don't be shy. Hudson, read for me the instructions on the try these.
Are the graphs of the two equations perpendicular, parallel, or neither?
Okay, so on the explain, you don't have to write out the reason why they are parallel. No, all you have to do is show me your work. That's an explanation. So those two equations were y equals 2x plus 1, and the other one was 5y equals 10x minus 5. All right. Are these equations lines that are parallel, representing lines that are parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay, if they're parallel, they have to have the same slope. If they are perpendicular, they have to have not the same slope, but negative reciprocals of each other. But there's also another option that says neither. You know what that means? That means that they're not the same and they're not negative reciprocals. So that's a possibility. Okay, is this written in a form? Slope-intercept. What's the slope up here on the first line? It's just 2. The slope is just 2. 2 over 1. Just a number. Right? That's my slope. The second equation, is that written in a form that we know of? But it's really close to which one? Our favorite one, which really is going to be slope-intercept. Standard form, it is actually, it's not that bad. You would subtract 10x, but then I'd still be looking for the slope. Like, what's the slope? So get it slope-intercept form. How do I get it slope-intercept form?
Y plus
Go ahead.
Yeah, what he said.
What did he say? I only saw your hand, so I was waiting for that.
You said to divide y by 2.
Everything, yes, Alex.
He said divide y by 5 and then everything else by 5.
Yep, everything gets divided by 5. Yep. You're splitting everything into fifths is what you're doing. What's 5y divided by 5? Y. What's 10x divided by 5? 2x. What's negative 5 divided by 5? Negative 1. Is that in slope-intercept form? That's a good thing. Yes, it is. And now I know what the slope is. Eva, what's the slope? It's just 2. Looking at the two slopes, are they the same? Are they negative reciprocals of each other? Or are they neither one of those options? They are the same, so your answer is going to be parallel. They're parallel lines. That's what you put. You compare the slopes. Yes, ma'am?
Where did you get 5 from to divide it by?
Yeah, you see how in slope-intercept form y is by itself? So in the original equation, y has 5 next to it. So what's going on between those two? What undoes multiplication? So I divide this by 5, and then I have to divide everything by 5. So yeah, do to one side what you do to the other, and then you get that final one. Okay, any questions on that one? Good, because I want you to do number 2. Number 2 on the try these. Michelle, what are the two equations on number 2?
Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1.
And the second one, sorry?
Negative 3x plus 6y equals 2.
All right. Get them both into slope-intercept form. Because when you get them in slope-intercept form, you know what's really clear? The slope. You get the slope, and then you can compare the slope. Philip, the first equation, is it written in any form that we know of? Yep, slope-intercept form. So it's already in slope-intercept form. Sophie, what's the slope?
Negative 1/2.
Negative 1/2. That's my slope of the first line. Okay, the second equation. Let's see who can pull it out here. Hagen, the second equation, is that written in any form? It's in standard form. But is that the form I want it in? I want it in slope-intercept form. So what do I have to solve for? Don't mind the finger pointing to the y. Okay, what's happening to y? It's being multiplied by 6 and then added with negative 3x. What undoes that? Help me out, Jackson. So did you write the equation already? Okay, what do you have to do first to get y by itself?
You have to subtract. You have to subtract negative 3.
Okay, okay, good. There you go. You could say, Jackson, subtract negative 3x on both sides, but that's confusing. Why don't you add 3x to both sides? That'll undo it. All right, you're left with 6y equals 3x plus 2. Remember, I want to write the x term, then the constant. Then what do I do to finish this off because it's not slope-intercept, Gracie?
So you divide by everything by 6.
Everything by 6.
And then you get y equals 1/2x plus 1/3.
What's the slope down here, guys? 1/2. Ooh, nice. Compare the two. Are they the same exact slope? Are they the same exact slope? No, they're not parallel. Are they negative reciprocals of each other? Ooh, oh. They're not perpendicular either, so what do you put? Neither. Let's put. I almost put on the last class, neighbor. No, neither. How many of you got that one on your own? Kind of like, oh, okay, I got that. Good. Do number 3. Last one on this type, and then we'll do one more problem. We'll finish it up. Number 3, yep. I'm going to do this. Let's make it more interesting. I'm going to split you up into halves. So you got your first half like you had yesterday, your second half. The half with the most people getting this one right doesn't get something.
Doesn't get it.
I'm not saying what it is yet, but doesn't get something.
Wait, who gets the most right?
Whichever side gets the most right. There is a slight advantage for this side because they have one. Oh no, it's tied. So even. You may begin. You may not communicate with each other because that is not fair. Number 3. Starting hopefully a minute ago. Y equals 1/4 x plus 3. And y, don't share any answers, no communicating, because we don't want to be unfair. Everyone's for themselves, but you're all cumulative in your response. No pressure. Sorry. Now, let me just give you this. You're not going to get no homework, but you might get something pretty good. Yes, possibly. Not saying what it is, but you might get less of something, or not something, or unsomething. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to distract you anymore, so I'll stop talking. Starting, I hope you find slope-intercept form, get the slope, compare the slope, see if they're the same negative reciprocals or neither, and then I'm done talking. I'll give you 1 minute. All right, 10 seconds. No communicating. Okay, this is what I want you to do so we're fair. You're going to put your pencil down and you are not going to pick it up. If you pick it up, you are eliminated. You don't count. Starting... I'm waiting now. Okay, if you pick it up, you're done. You cannot count, and you're gonna have to be checked by somebody around you. And be honest, because you don't get something, and that might be good, but you did it cheating in a dishonest way. That's not worth it. Okay, anyway, What's the slope on this one? Yes, 1/4. Good. What's the slope on that one? -4. Sorry. Who can tell me what they are? They are blank blanks of each other. Yes, sir? Negative reciprocals of one another. So you see 1/4, 4/1. Change the sign. So they are perpendicular. All right, check each other, please. I need you to show this is what I got. This was my answer.
They do have one more person ask.
Oh, you're right. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. So it was imbalanced. Let's see if that makes a difference. If there's a tie, they win because of that. So we'll see. Okay. Oh my. Raise your hand. Be honest if you got perpendicular. Perpendicular. Hold on. Hello?
No, it's not.
Hi. Oh, hey.
So
Joey.
if you run the student.
Okay. Joey's in Mr. Hubbard's room right now. And then I have Jackson. I'll send him. And so just go up to the main office. Oh, are you here in the office, middle school? Oh, okay. Yep. That's okay. And are they dismissed or? Uh-huh. Okay, I could. That's all right. Okay, so go to lunch, come back, eat their lunch. Okay, gotcha. Okay, got it. Bye. That was okay. Hold on, Jackson. Go. I think that's all they want. Just go out. You're not in trouble. They just need you. To the middle school office. Okay. Sorry. I think I counted 10. I don't know. Do it again. Raise your hand. Sorry. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we'll go 9. We'll see what happens. Who got it right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I got 9 to 8.
Jackson got it. Let me check his place.
Yeah, probably we should check that.
No, but he's gone. He got purple.
He counts.
Tiebreaker.
I think I'm going to ask him. Okay, you're not going to get it right this moment, so when he comes back, I'll ask him. Okay, so you're good. I don't know. I'll see how it went. So far it looks like this team won anyway, unless I know that he got it right. So we'll figure it out. All right, last problem, and then I'll give you what that result was. This is the easiest problem you're going to get, so don't make it too complicated. This is the problem. They're going to give you an equation, like this one. And I'm going to work out two problems real quick from the same one equation. Good. We still have a good time. All right. This is what they're going to ask. Write the equation of a line parallel to this line. Okay? So write an equation of a line that is parallel to this line. Did they give me a y-intercept? No, I don't have one. It's not there. It's not here. So you can make up your own y-intercept. Because that's why it's so easy. But what has to be true about your equation? Because they are parallel. They have to have the same slope. So what's the slope? -6. I get y equals -6x. You know that's going to be there. And you make up your own y-intercept. It doesn't matter because they didn't give you one. They're not specific. Throw one out there. -7. You're done. Now, the only thing you cannot put on the y-intercept is -6. Why? Because they would be the same line. They're not parallel. They'll cross every time.
So you can put any number above.
But -6, wait. And then give me a perpendicular line. Oops, perpendicular line to that first line. So you got y equals mx plus b. What's your m have to be? It has to be 1/6 positive. Yep, positive 1/6 y equals positive 1/6 x throw out a y-intercept that is technically could be the same as that one, but throw out something else. It could be positive, +6. Good. Done. That's what I wanted. Do you understand what they're asking you for in that? Okay. And you will have a few problems like that, so enjoy those. All right, your homework. I have to go back.
Well, what if we don't get homework? What if we're innocent?
Your homework is not that. This 2 to 14 even.
But what if Jackson don't be tied because we have?
Oh yes.
Yeah, then we both get it.
Okay, sorry. I forgot to take out the thing. I'm going to the winning team when we find out. So everyone can just start doing the homework. The winning team does not have to do 10 to 14 even. So you guys just do 2 to 8 even. Is that bad? Is that bad? And that's so everyone start. Everyone just go ahead and start because no one's on 10 yet. And if you're like, Mr. A, I think we won, but you're not sure of it, just go to 10. And I hope he comes back. I don't know. I don't think, honestly, I don't see the answer there. I'm thinking they won. So.
Seems like it doesn't make any sense.
I got it.
Goodbye.